Most people would come to this field and see a beautiful meadow. You come out here and it's peaceful and serene. You can hear the wind, but all the other sounds are absent. When I come out here, I see a field that is dominated by non-native invasive plants with relatively small habitat value for most of the birds and bugs and butterflies and bees that those birds depend on. I'm Chris Davis. I'm Cuyahoga Valley National Park's plant ecologist. And I have two major responsibilities here. One is to try and enhance native habitat. And the second thing is to monitor the condition of the environment, how the vegetation at the park is changing over time. This isn't a traditional national park. This park was formed in the 1970s from a lot of disjunct parcels of land that had been privately owned before that and some publicly owned. So we had a lot of historic disturbance at this park that a lot of the more prominent Western parks didn't have. And disturbance is a key factor in why invasive plants do well. Invasive species can be native or non-native. What we're concerned with most here are invasive exotic species, species that can take over an area and are not native to this area. And a lot of them were introduced by humans as ornamental plantings. Some of them came over accidentally with hay or straw. They will produce millions of seeds. They'll displace the native plants and completely alter the food chain that we depend on here at this park to support a variety of different species of wildlife. The plants are the foundation of everything. The insects that feed on the plants feed the rodents that feed the coyotes, and the whole food chain here is dependent on those plants. So we've spent a lot of time surveying this park for non-native plants. We've actually walked the entire park. We have pretty detailed maps of where non-native species are. And I do a lot of work with kids, particularly to control invasive plants. Today we're working at Terra Vista at Cuyahoga Valley National Park, and there's a group of kids helping us control exotic plants. This is an extremely disturbed site. It was farmed for decades, and after that the site was actually gravel mined, all the topsoil was removed, and so this site was just perfectly primed for invasion by non-native exotic plants. And so what we're doing here today is working with a group of kids to help us cut these plants. They pull them, they stomp them, they crush them. Anything we can do to get rid of them. And then we try to come in with the native plants. So we started a native plant nursery here a couple of years ago. We're growing our own native plants. So when we remove invasive plants from an area, we're now trying to go out and replant those areas with natives. And hopefully then they will become the dominant species. Right now we have about 70 different species of plants, ranging from wildflowers and grasses to oaks, large trees, native plants we have at the park. We're trying to grow in this greenhouse. I've always been interested in the outdoors as a kid. I like to collect frogs, I like to collect insects, I like to go catch fireflies at night. And I ended up going to college. I have an undergraduate degree in biology. I went back to graduate school, and I also have a graduate degree in biology. I get to go outdoors all the time. I get to walk in fields and forests. That's unusual. I love the outdoors. And the National Park Service is a national organization. I can go from coast to coast for the National Park Service. It just gives a lot of opportunity to work in a lot of different areas that are extremely beautiful.
You get to be outside, you get to see people enjoying themselves in nature. But the main thing that I love is being able to see my projects from the start to finish and then on through their lifespan. My name is Janet Popielski. I'm a civil engineer here at Cuyahoga Valley National Park. In high school, I was interested a lot in biology, actually, but I also enjoyed taking things apart, putting things together, designing, building stuff. So I wanted to find something that I could combine those interests. And in civil engineering, because we work out in the environment, we work with nature, it was something that I came about in college that I found to be very rewarding. I received a bachelor's degree and a master's degree in civil engineering from the University of Akron. Here. I just want to look at the water level real quick. We're in Summit County, Ohio, in between the Interstate 80 or the Ohio Turnpike Bridge and Interstate 271. And this field was originally greatly disturbed during the construction of the 2 bridges. It was a very low quality field with a lot of invasive species before we came in and we used it to build the wastewater treatment system. You see a lot of plants and you see open water and a couple of structures, but mostly what you're going to think is that it's just maybe an old farm pond. You're not going to think that it's a wastewater treatment system. It doesn't have an odor, it doesn't have any noisy equipment to it, and so it just looks like something that's somewhat natural, somewhat man-made. Here we're standing right above one of the treatment cells for the wastewater treatment system. And this right here, it looks like just a typical wetland, but this is actually the first step in the wastewater treatment system for the entire Boston Mills Historic District. So when the water is flushed down a toilet or goes down a sink in one of those buildings, it eventually makes its way up here and it goes underground below these plants. There's 18 inches of gravel and 3 inches of mulch, and then the plants. There's a lot of microorganisms that live on the roots of the plants that will actually treat, they'll eat the nutrients or the pollutants within that water and treat it in the same manner that you would see in a typical wastewater treatment plant. And then after it's treated here, it will get discharged into the surface wetland system. I really like the aspect of being able to work on something that impacted people's lives in a positive manner, whether it's to provide clean water, a clean place to swim, or even a new street or sidewalk. I really enjoyed that.